New CEO fired me after 16 years building the company's IT infrastructure. Now their systems are messed. The email notification blinked on my phone at exactly 8:47 a.m., 17 minutes before my usual arrival time at the office. I remember the exact time because it marked the moment my 16-year career at Axion Tech transformed from a professional journey into a cautionary tale. As I read the cold, formal termination letter signed by our new CEO, Marcus Thompson, my mind automatically scrolled through countless memories of late nights, system upgrades, and emergency fixes that had kept this company running smoothly for over a decade. Axion Tech wasn't just where I worked, it was where I grew up professionally. When I started as a junior systems administrator in 2007, the company occupied 2 floors of an old office building, with servers that frequently overheated and a network infrastructure held together mostly by determination and quick thinking. Over the years, I built what many considered one of the most reliable IT infrastructures in our industry sector. Our systems ran so smoothly that other departments often forgot they even existed, the ultimate complement for an IT department. Every major technological advancement during those 16 years bore my fingerprints. From implementing our first cloud storage solution to developing proprietary security protocols that became industry benchmarks, I had been there through it all. The company's growth mirrored my own professional development, each promotion earned through hard work and proven results. My office walls were adorned with certificates of achievement, team photos, and thank you notes from colleagues whose projects I'd helped save through last-minute technical interventions. What made the termination particularly baffling was its timing. Just weeks earlier, I had successfully led the migration of our entire CRM system to a new platform, completing the project 3 months ahead of schedule and under budget. The new CEO had personally congratulated me on the achievement during his introductory meeting with department heads. Yet here I was, dismissed with a generic statement about streamlining operations and embracing youthful innovation. As I sat in my car in the parking lot, staring at the familiar glass doors of Axion Tech's headquarters, I couldn't help but notice the irony. The same systems I had meticulously constructed and maintained now felt like strangers to me. Through the windows, I could see young faces moving between cubicles, fresh recruits brought in by Marcus to modernize our operations. Their casual attire and energetic movements seemed out of place in an environment I had helped build around reliability and precision. The termination package offered barely reflected my years of service and expertise. A modest severance, continuation of health benefits for 3 months, and a lukewarm recommendation letter that praised my dedication to maintaining legacy systems. Legacy systems. The phrase stung more than I cared to admit. These weren't just outdated technologies, they were carefully curated solutions that had evolved alongside the company's needs, each component serving a specific purpose in our operational ecosystem. Walking away from Axion Tech that morning felt like leaving behind a part of myself. The access badge I returned at security seemed heavier than it should, carrying with it 16 years of knowledge, experience, and personal investment. As I drove away from the parking lot for the last time as an employee, I noticed something strange. The building's air conditioning system was cycling unusually rapidly. It was a subtle sign, but one I immediately recognized. The new maintenance protocol I had implemented last quarter was being overridden, likely by well-meaning but inexperienced hands attempting optimization. The following weeks became a masterclass in corporate transformation gone awry. For my new position as a consultant, a role I took reluctantly after several companies approached me, I watched as Axion Tech's carefully balanced systems began to unravel. The young developers Marcus had recruited with promises of revolutionizing the company's technology stack dove headfirst into their assignments with characteristic enthusiasm, but without the institutional knowledge that had guided my decisions over the years. Within days of my departure, the first incident occurred, a catastrophic data synchronization failure that affected our primary customer database. The new team, eager to demonstrate their capabilities, had attempted to implement a cutting-edge real-time processing solution without fully understanding the intricate dependencies within our existing architecture. What they failed to realize was that certain legacy processes relied on specific timing windows that had been painstakingly calibrated over years of operation. Their upgrade disrupted these delicate balances, causing cascading failures throughout interconnected systems. Marcus's weekly update meetings became increasingly tense affairs. During one particularly memorable session, he presented what he called the Youth Innovation Dashboard, a colorful array of metrics tracking the performance of the new systems against projected goals. The irony wasn't lost on me when the dashboard itself crashed midway through the presentation, revealing the underlying instability of their approach. The young team members, though talented, lacked the historical context necessary to understand why certain procedures existed or how different components interacted across various departments. Networking issues emerged next, as the new team began replacing hardware with newer models that theoretically offered better performance. However, they underestimated the complexity of our customized configurations. The result was a patchwork of incompatible equipment that created bottlenecks rather than improving throughput. I learned through former colleagues that simple tasks that once took seconds, like accessing shared resources or running routine maintenance scripts, now required elaborate workarounds and frequent restarts. Perhaps most telling was the gradual erosion of system reliability. The robust backup and recovery protocols I had established, which had prevented numerous potential disasters over the years, were deemed outdated and replaced with more efficient alternatives. Within a month, a minor power fluctuation caused a chain reaction of failures that took the entire customer support system offline for nearly 12 hours. The irony was palpable. The very safeguards I had fought to implement were now viewed as obstacles to progress by those who hadn't experienced the crises they were designed to prevent. Through my consulting work, I encountered several former Axian Tech employees who had left voluntarily after witnessing the chaos unfold. They spoke of daily firefighting sessions, endless bug reports, and growing frustration among both technical staff and end users. The younger developers, while skilled in modern programming languages and frameworks, struggled to comprehend the complex web of business logic embedded in the company's older systems. Each attempt to streamline or optimize only created new vulnerabilities, leading to a vicious cycle of patches and workarounds. The situation reached a critical point when the financial reporting system, a cornerstone of Axian Tech's operations, began producing inconsistent results. The new team had attempted to migrate the legacy accounting software to a cloud-based platform without fully understanding the custom integrations that connected it to other enterprise systems. The resulting discrepancies triggered multiple audits and raised serious concerns among stakeholders about the company's financial integrity. Former colleagues confided that Marcus had started spending more time in damage control meetings than in strategy sessions, his initial confidence giving way to mounting pressure from upper management. Observing Axian Tech struggles from the outside provided a unique perspective on the true cost of disregarding institutional knowledge. While the new team's technical skills were undeniable, their lack of appreciation for the system's evolution and the reasoning behind its current state proved disastrous. The company's once reliable infrastructure had become a house of cards, each change threatening to bring down the entire structure. What had taken 16 years to build was unraveling in mere months, not due to technological obsolescence, but from an inability to recognize the value of experience and context. In the weeks following my departure from Axian Tech, word spread quickly through professional circles about my availability. Colleagues from various industries reached out, sharing similar stories of organizational upheaval and technological mismanagement. One particular conversation with Sarah Chen, Chief Technology Officer at Quantum Logistics, struck a chord. She described a scenario eerily reminiscent of Axian Tech's current chaos, a situation where rapid modernization attempts had destabilized crucial systems. Her team needed someone with extensive experience in legacy system integration and crisis management, roles I had perfected during my tenure at Axian. The consulting arrangement evolved organically. Initially, I agreed to assist Quantum Logistics with their immediate challenges, but soon found myself fielding requests from multiple organizations facing similar transitions. Each engagement revealed patterns I recognized from my final months at Axian Tech: ambitious executives pushing for technological overhauls without proper assessment of existing infrastructure, young developers eager to prove themselves by rebuilding everything from scratch, and crucial operational knowledge being dismissed as irrelevant. My consultancy model focused on bridging this gap between innovation and institutional memory. At Digital Horizons, a mid-sized financial services firm, I worked with their newly appointed CTO to develop a hybrid approach that preserved critical legacy functions while integrating modern solutions. We established cross-generational teams where experienced engineers mentored younger developers, ensuring that valuable historical context wasn't lost in the rush toward progress. This methodology proved remarkably effective, reducing system downtime by 40% within the first quarter while still achieving significant performance improvements. The work with Global Health Networks presented perhaps the most challenging opportunity. Their leadership had implemented a wholesale replacement of core systems, only to find themselves paralyzed by unexpected interdependencies and regulatory compliance issues. Drawing on lessons learned from Axian Tech, I helped them establish a phased transition strategy that identified and preserved mission-critical components while gradually introducing modern enhancements. This approach not only stabilized their operations, but also created a framework for sustainable technological evolution. Through these engagements, I developed a reputation as a specialist in managing technological transitions without compromising operational integrity. Companies began approaching me specifically for guidance on balancing innovation with stability, recognizing that true progress often requires respecting the foundations upon which new developments must be built. The irony wasn't lost on me. The very skills Marcus had dismissed as obsolete had become highly sought-after commodities in the marketplace. These experiences reinforced a fundamental truth about technological evolution. Progress isn't about completely discarding the past, but rather about understanding and building upon it. Each successful engagement added to my conviction that meaningful innovation requires equal parts vision and appreciation for existing complexity. The young developers I mentored across various organizations reminded me of my early days at Axion Tech, filled with ideas and energy, but lacking the scars of experience that taught caution and strategic patience. As my consulting practice expanded, I found myself increasingly drawn to organizations struggling with similar transitions. The pattern repeated itself across industries: retail, healthcare, finance, manufacturing, each sector grappling with the challenge of modernizing while maintaining operational continuity. At Solaris Manufacturing, I encountered a particularly illuminating case study in the dangers of dismissing institutional knowledge. Their ambitious digital transformation initiative had ground to a halt after 6 months of escalating system failures and operational disruptions. Management had dismissed veteran engineers' warnings about implementation risks, preferring instead to trust the assurances of external consultants promising revolutionary change. The Solaris situation highlighted another critical aspect of technological transitions: the human element. Many of their long-serving technical staff had become disillusioned, watching years of careful system development being dismantled without consideration for the underlying logic. I implemented a mentorship program pairing experienced engineers with younger developers, creating opportunities for knowledge transfer while fostering mutual respect between generations. This approach not only stabilized their systems but also reinvigorated their technical teams, demonstrating that innovation thrives best when it builds upon rather than replaces existing expertise. Each engagement deepened my understanding of the delicate balance required in technological evolution. At MedTech Solutions, we faced the challenge of integrating cutting-edge AI diagnostic tools with their established patient management systems. Rather than starting from scratch, we identified key integration points where new technologies could enhance rather than replace existing processes. This hybrid approach maintained regulatory compliance while delivering measurable improvements in efficiency and accuracy. The success of this project led to invitations to speak at industry conferences, where I shared insights about managing technological transitions in regulated environments. Perhaps most rewarding was working with startups attempting to scale rapidly. Unlike established enterprises, these organizations often lacked any legacy systems, presenting a different set of challenges. Here, I applied reverse lessons from Axion Tech's experience, helping them build foundational infrastructure that could evolve gracefully rather than requiring complete reconstruction later. At Cloudcom Innovations, we developed a modular architecture that allowed for incremental upgrades while maintaining core functionality, essentially future-proofing their systems against the kind of wholesale replacement attempts that had crippled Axion Tech. Through these accounts, I gained a comprehensive understanding of how thoroughly Axion Tech's technological foundation had deteriorated. What had started as an attempt to modernize had become a cautionary tale about the dangers of disregarding accumulated wisdom in favor of untested enthusiasm. The company's struggles served as a living demonstration of the principles I had been advocating through my consulting work, that true progress requires respecting and building upon existing foundations rather than attempting to completely reinvent them. The unfolding drama at Axion Tech provided a unique vantage point from which to observe the broader implications of technological transitions in modern organizations. Through my consulting engagements, I encountered numerous companies at various stages of similar transformations, each offering valuable lessons about the intersection of experience and innovation. At Technova Solutions, for instance, we implemented a dual-track development strategy that maintained critical legacy systems while gradually introducing modern components. This approach allowed us to preserve operational stability while still achieving meaningful technological advancement, demonstrating that progress doesn't require wholesale replacement of existing infrastructure. Particularly enlightening was my work with NextGen Healthcare, where we faced the challenge of integrating advanced telemedicine capabilities with established patient management systems. Rather than viewing the existing infrastructure as an obstacle, we identified natural integration points that leveraged its strengths while incorporating new functionality. This experience underscored a fundamental principle: technological evolution succeeds when it respects the accumulated wisdom embedded in existing systems. The success of this project led to a series of speaking engagements where I shared insights about managing technological transitions in highly regulated environments. Through these diverse engagements, I developed a deeper understanding of how organizational culture influences technological adoption. At several companies, I observed that resistance to change often stemmed not from inherent conservatism, but from legitimate concerns about losing institutional knowledge. By establishing structured knowledge-sharing programs and creating documentation frameworks that captured both technical details and decision-making rationale, we were able to reduce anxiety about transition while preserving valuable context. This approach proved particularly effective at Finserv Dynamics, where we successfully integrated blockchain technology into their existing transaction processing systems without disrupting daily operations. The experience also highlighted the importance of developing hybrid skill sets within technical teams. At Data Core Systems, we implemented a rotational program where developers worked on both legacy and modern systems, fostering a deeper understanding of how different components interacted. This approach not only improved system stability but also enhanced developer satisfaction, as team members gained a more comprehensive view of the organization's technological landscape. The success of this initiative led to similar programs at other client organizations, creating a new model for managing technological transitions that valued both innovation and institutional memory. Perhaps most significantly, these experiences reinforce the concept that technological leadership requires emotional intelligence as much as technical expertise. Successful transitions depended not just on implementing new systems but on managing the human aspects of change, addressing fears about job security, acknowledging the value of experience, and creating opportunities for meaningful collaboration between generations. At every organization I worked with, the projects that succeeded longest were those that recognized technological evolution as a social process as much as a technical one. Through these varied engagements, a clear pattern emerged regarding the elements necessary for sustainable technological progress. Organizations that succeeded in modernizing while maintaining stability shared common characteristics. They valued institutional knowledge, fostered cross-generational collaboration, implemented changes incrementally, and maintained open communication channels throughout the transition process. These principles, developed through observation and experience, formed the foundation of a new approach to technological evolution, one that respected the past while embracing the future, recognizing that true innovation often involves building bridges rather than burning them. The turning point came on a cold December morning, 3 months after my departure from Axion Tech. I was finalizing a consulting project with another client when an urgent call came through, Marcus himself, his voice strained and uncharacteristically humble. The company had just experienced its worst outage yet, a complete systems collapse during peak business hours that left thousands of customers unable to access critical services. Regulatory bodies were threatening sanctions, major clients were terminating contracts, and internal morale had hit rock bottom. Marcus admitted what he'd refused to acknowledge before, that the young developers lacked the institutional knowledge necessary to navigate the complexity of Axion Tech's infrastructure. "I need your help," he said, his tone heavy with desperation. "Not as a consultant this time. As Chief Technology Officer." It wasn't the apology I'd expected, but it carried weight nonetheless. After a long pause, I asked him why he thought I'd come back after everything that had happened. His response surprised me. "Because you built this company's foundation, and now it's crumbling without you. And because deep down, I know I made a mistake." I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I spent the next 2 days reflecting on the situation. Part of me wanted to let Axion Tech face the consequences of its missteps, a sort of poetic justice for dismissing years of hard work. But another part of me couldn't ignore the fact that Axion wasn't just a company, it was a community of people who relied on its success. Many former colleagues still worked there, struggling under the weight of a broken system they hadn't created. My decision wasn't about vindication, it was about doing what was right. When I returned to Axion Tech, the atmosphere was markedly different. Gone was the brash confidence of Marcus's early days as CEO. In its place was a cautious respect for the complexity of the systems I had once overseen. During my first meeting with the leadership team, I laid out clear terms for my return. First, no more unilateral changes to core systems without thorough risk assessments and cross-departmental approval. Second, a mentorship program pairing younger developers with seasoned engineers to ensure knowledge transfer. Third, a phased modernization plan that preserved critical legacy components while introducing new technologies incrementally. The initial weeks were challenging. Trust between the existing teams and senior management had eroded, and skepticism about my role ran high. Some employees questioned whether I would use my position to exact revenge or dismantle the progress, however flawed, that had been made. To address these concerns, I held town halls where I openly discussed both the mistakes of the past and the opportunities ahead. I emphasized that our goal wasn't to assign blame but to rebuild, not just the systems, but also the culture of collaboration and mutual respect that had defined Axion Tech in its earlier years. One of the first tasks was stabilizing the financial reporting system, which remained unreliable despite multiple attempts at repair. Drawing on lessons from my consulting work, I assembled a hybrid team consisting of veteran engineers and young developers. Together, we identified the root causes of the instability and implemented targeted fixes, rather than attempting another wholesale overhaul. Within 6 weeks, the system was functioning smoothly again, a small victory, but one that restored some much-needed confidence within the organization. As stability returned, I turned my attention to the broader modernization effort. Using the modular approach I developed during my consulting projects, we began integrating cloud-based solutions into specific areas of the infrastructure where they could add value without disrupting core operations. Young developers thrived in this environment, applying their skills to innovate within clearly defined boundaries. Meanwhile, experienced engineers provided context and guidance, ensuring that each change aligned with the overall architecture. Perhaps the most rewarding aspect of my return was witnessing the transformation of the young developers themselves. Initially defensive and resistant to feedback, they gradually embraced the mentorship program and began appreciating the nuances of the systems they were tasked with improving. One standout was Elena Rodriguez, a talented programmer who had joined Axion shortly after my departure. Under the guidance of Sarah Chun, a veteran database administrator, Elena became an advocate for balanced innovation, often mediating between newer team members and those with institutional knowledge. By the end of my first year back, Axion Tech had not only recovered but begun to thrive again. System reliability reached record highs, customer satisfaction improved dramatically, and employee retention stabilized. More importantly, the company had adopted a new philosophy of technological evolution, one that valued both innovation and experience. Marcus, too, had grown as a leader. He publicly acknowledged the errors of his initial approach and credited the turnaround to the collective efforts of everyone involved. For me, the journey came full circle. Returning to Axion Tech wasn't about reclaiming a title or proving a point. It was about demonstrating that true progress requires humility, collaboration, and a willingness to learn from the past. As I stood in the same office where I'd received my termination letter, now repurposed as a training room for the mentorship program, I felt a profound sense of closure. The systems I had built were no longer mine alone, they belonged to everyone who contributed to their continued evolution. In the end, Axion Tech's story became a testament to the power of resilience and adaptability. It served as a reminder that even in moments of failure, there is always an opportunity to rebuild stronger, smarter, and more inclusively. And for me, it reinforced a simple truth. The measure of success isn't how many times you fall, it's how you rise each time, and the legacy you leave behind when you do.